Armand here with your integral astrology forecast for February of 2019. The energy this month is, as my colleague Margaret Gray says, jagged, and you should stop by our Relationships in Astrology channel and take a look at our forecast for February for all signs, with an emphasis on relationships, but I think you'll find it generally valuable. Okay, so what about this jagged energy? I would say that February kind of has a theme of independence. It's very much about everybody doing their own thing and yet somehow managing to fit in with everybody else. The general pattern is that we get off to a very hot start with a Mars-Pluto square on the 1st that is going to jangle all the way through the 2nd thanks to the Capricorn moon. The theme is severity. Okay, this is a severe time. Decisions are made, we're going to do things, and the moon is waning, so very likely it's a time of bringing things to an end or a conclusion. Make sure that that's what you really want to do, if that's what you're doing. But that's the feel of it. It's this very severe decision time. At the beginning of the month, people are going to be very impulsive, impatient, perhaps irritable. I would say perhaps irritable. It's a time that if you have a lot of excess energy, you might want to work it off with sensible exercise and just generally, you know, find a way to get rid of tensions that are not disruptive. It's a time when you don't want to just burn bridges because you can. As we come into the new moon on February 4th, and then as we come out of that, we get this nice period, particularly from the 4th out until about the 10th, that has a great deal of potential. It's relatively smooth sailing. Yeah, independence is a theme. People want to do their own things, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that. The full moon, the new moon rather, in Aquarius is at 15 degrees of Aquarius. It's a very important degree. It's a hot degree. The middle degree of any of the fixed signs is always a hot degree. We'll see a lot of stuff happening at the collective level that'll unfold over the following week. It is a time to look at, you know, where we belong, what we want to do in larger society, you know, what our long-term goals are. It's a new moon where we start thinking about, you know, well, what groups do we want to participate in and what groups do we not want to participate in. You should participate in NCGR. That's a good group for you to participate in. I'm just seeding that thought for you. But anyway, we have that week between February 4th and about the 10th, maybe the 11th, where the energy is more or less kind of smooth and we can kind of work things out a little bit. And then we hit this period starting right around the first quarter moon on the 12th. We can probably get some good stuff out of that. Then Mars hits Uranus and then goes into Taurus. And from there, going forward, we hit a kind of jagged period. This is the sharp part of the jagged. I think that as we approach the full moon, which is on the 19th, there's just a lot of hot energy that will be very hard to contain. Other things that are happening that week or during that period of time include some helpful aspects. For example, Venus sextile Neptune and the Sun sextile Uranus. That should be good. That should help to work things out a little bit. But as we get to the full moon on the 19th, we also have Mercury conjunct Neptune. Now, full moon, 0 degrees Virgo. Full moons make things bigger. They expand. They add emotional intensity. Virgo, picking up on details. Some little thing that, what did you say? What did you mean by that? You know, well, I found this thing. Well, what is this about? You know, some little detail can become a major issue. And with Mercury next to Neptune, there's almost no boundaries to how far we can go with it. It's a very, very hot or slippery energy is a better word for it. It's a very slippery energy. We get emotionally excited about things that may or may not have a basis in fact. It's a great time to escape into a fantasy. It's a good time for meditation. But you got to treat it like a Mercury retrograde, especially that period right around the 17th to maybe the 20th. You don't want to make major purchases. You don't want to sign contracts. You really kind of want to stay away from things that require some sort of commitment in one way or another. You just don't know what's happening. I would say in general, the period from the 13th through about, why don't you give it to maybe the 22nd, would be a particularly challenging period of time. On the 22nd, Venus meets with Pluto. Now, Venus has been busy this month. On the 17th, she stopped by and had a nice sextile to Neptune. That could feel really good. We could feel the possibilities. And the very next thing she does, right around the full moon, in fact, is to meet up with Saturn. And then she goes on the 22nd, just 4 days later, to meet up with Pluto. There's a scrunching kind of energy that's going to affect relationships and finance, romance and finance. It is going to sort of push in on this, and we sort of get to a kind of deadline type of feel. Exacerbated by the full moon, could be some pretty tough pressures in there. Very likely to find its release at the very end of the month, because on March 1st, Venus is going to square Uranus. Tradition, what are we going to do? Where are we? How do we define our relationship? Is challenged by, I got to be me, I got to do my own thing. Can we accommodate enough space in our relationship so that everybody can be their own person? Or is it one of those things where, like, if we can't have things the way they're supposed to be, we're not going to have anything at all? It's that kind of energy. The very least of it, pressure, 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 and then that pressure finds release in a good way or in a bad way. Or I shouldn't say good or bad, but things go one way or the other. In general, though, after the 22nd, after we have that period from, let's say, the 13th to the 22nd, we do get relatively smooth energy again. So February, hot start the first couple of days, mellows out through about the middle of the month. From the 13th through, let's say, the 22nd, we have some very pressured energy and the potential for things to kind of bubble up and bubble over. We have a smoother period, and then as we get to the very, very end of the month, again, romance and finance are going to be kind of hot issues. So that's your February. It is a jagged energy, and I hope to see you again in March. Bye.